a stealth action rhythm game. So the eye concept is very simple. Whenever you fall, whenever you miss the mark, like there's a beat, and whenever you miss the mark, you jump, you fall to your face, and yeah, so like it's a sort of a spy thing, but you're sort of a clown as well. So basically, you're always failing, and you're always going against the wall, always tripping to the floor. It's very simple. That's the whole catch. That's the whole like main mechanic, and we decided to run along with that. And actually, it's the first game that we published, and I'm actually very proud that we managed to do that. There's a lot of I have a lot of love for it. It's still in my heart, like because it's like your first born son, right?
Yeah.
Even though we've published two other games, it's yeah, that's our game.
And what can you tell the audience about a game being published by not a game studio? Is it a game? Is it a studio? Is it not a game studio? Is it not a game? How can we join those two forces?
Yeah, so um, well, like not a game studio um, is an experimental brand that tries to make like if you look at our portfolio, like we've published three games, and the three of them have nothing to do with one another, and we're gonna publish another one that has nothing to do also with the previous three. They might, I mean, that's true, but that's true in the beginning. Like the first impression, for instance, like our second game, Uranus, like it as like visually, it's not the same color palette. It's not pixel art. It's not 2D. It's completely different. It's not even the same genres or mix of genres, and like and that's our goal is basically to experiment, but also to keep the players hooked by guessing what we're gonna do next, by surprising them, and like when I say we're experimental as well, that means we kind of iterate on a lot on like we kind of shoot for an idea, and then we try it, we see if it works. If it doesn't, we go for a next one and a next one until something clicks. And the idea for Not a Game Studio, the name Not a Game Studio, is came to us the same way that we develop games actually. So we were testing a bunch of names. We were running with a specific name that like I don't think I should tell. Like at the beginning, yeah, maybe I'm gonna tell. The beginning, we the idea of the game of the studio, sorry, was Disconnect, which is a terrible sounding name, but that was like the last iteration of it, and like it wasn't working. Like it sounded very generic, right? Like Disconnect Studios are.
It's a
Um,
very sober. We needed a cool name type.
Yeah, no, but we didn't. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and most of the time, I have no shame in telling people that we kind of try um, until we find things, because like we are not afraid of making mistakes. We are only afraid of not finding success, right? Like if you fail enough, you will eventually find success. That's something that I've learned with like with my mentors, with the people that have helped me throughout my career. None of them were afraid to fail, and so like to get back to the name, not a game studio. Like with Disconnect, I used the slogan because we also didn't have a slogan, so I was trying things out, and I used the slogan "Not a Game Studio." And at that point, like I clearly remember people sticking with the slogan and not
Not
caring about yeah.
you
And I was like that.
disconnected from the name and you just rolled with the slogan.
Yeah, and I mean, in game development, there's this thing of like specifically programming, because I come from a programming background of doing A/B testing.
Hmm.
So you will have like version A and version B. So we kind of A/B tested our own game, our own name. Sorry. So I, for some people, I created a card with disconnect, not a game studio, and for other people, I created a card with not a game studio disconnect.
Okay.
And I was sharing those, and I was seeing reactions. That's how we came up with not a game studio. It's a name that makes no sense, and
Because
that
it is a game studio.
it's a game studio that is not a game studio, which is why it's a game studio. So like, and you will go on and on and on. It's recursive, and at least you will remember the name, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's something that I wanted, and even though you don't know what the reaction is, like wow, you should react to it. At least you will remember that it was an interesting reaction. We also, for instance, we also don't have like a color for the brand. If you look at our social, like try to remember the logo, the color of our logo, and you will not remember. Like every time that all of the logos that we have everywhere, like in social media, in like it's always different. You only remember the shape. Like yeah, we're experimental. That's our thing.
Yeah, it's a good way to see the brand. As you mentioned, you're always experimenting with the games having your identity, but not a fixed identity among them. How big is the team to manage such a feat?
So the team is also not. It's a fluid size in the sense of we work with a lot of people, but they're not always working on the same things, and not all of them are working at the same time. I've Agent Klutz in specific, but kind of most of our games, and I was mentioning Uranus, but like CLT as well, Killed Mr. White, all of the games that we've done have been like the sound has like always been Miguel Sintra of Tiwatun that has worked with us, but like Miguel is not on the like on like we don't have an office with a team where Miguel uh, joins every day and works on stuff.
He
The
contributes
thing,
when needed.
yeah, exactly. So we kind of are structured like this of we have like core people, we have two or like one, depends really on the years. And whenever like we need an extra artist, we will get some extra art whenever we need like. And the thing is, I also wouldn't say that it's freelance work because we kind of go always to the same people.
Okay.
So we actually don't go to the same people. Those people are also part of us, but in a way they're also not. It's like we're a big family and we're very small at the same time,
So it's more
basically.
like of a seasonal job when there's more need to input on the games. They are part of the team, and when there's more free time, they're free to do their own stuff, right?
Yeah, like think of it as a bank heist. You know, like when you're gonna rob the casino or something, and like you need to pull the job, and you go to the guy with the explosives, and you're like, I
Yeah,
have a job, and the guy, yeah, no, not again, I've retired. No, no, like this one,
but
that's
they
your
always say
face.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever we kind of work on something, because like we're independent and like of course we are not we are working on a niche very a niche and a niche within a niche market. Like we don't have a lot of resources to like to work on big games, and also like because those games are so risky as well. We kind of keep things minimal. This is something that I've learned as the founder of the studio, that if you want to get weird, you cannot have the luxury of going big, right? Like you have to keep, of course, you should put a lot of eggs on a lot of stuff, of course, and failure is always good, as I mentioned. Like risking in that sense is good, but like scaling too wide can be a problem. And like whenever we work together, it's more out of love, mostly, and out of love and respect for each other. because like I've worked on all of the projects with for instance with Miguel, um, but there's no I don't I'm not forced to work with Miguel. I work with Miguel because Miguel is a genius, and I know that. Like this, I have like I go to Miguel and I say, "Here's the game. What do you think?" And immediately he gets it. And since you're playing Agent Klutz, it's funny because like Miguel immediately got the identity of the game, even though like it's a short music, with which some people complain that the music doesn't change. It's kind of a thing that we wanted to help you play as well. So in the beginning, we studied like multiple loops and musics and whatever. Miguel kept it very simple and went directly for the tone. And it immediately he knew what the game was, and that's why we work together, right? Like that's how things that's how we work as a team. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great cue to hop into the game. Let's change here the camera. Okay, I'll have. Let me see if the sound is okay. So for the audience, I'm going to fail miserably because you need to be really focused, and I'm looking at the stream and looking at the game. But usually players are better than what is going to happen now. So this is the first music, the first levels. Shall we start at the beginning, Zach?
Yeah, sure.
It is our Agent Klutz. What can you tell us about the inspiration for the game?
Well, I mean, it's a long story. I don't know. Like, I feel that I might bore you at the audience. um, yeah. So let me try to see how I can shorten it.
You can pretend something awesome happened that didn't actually happen, and we will never know anyways.
No, actually, no. But the story is very long, but it's also very, I think, very interesting. Like in the beginning, it wasn't a comedy game. Like clearly, like the result, like you feel it, and it's obviously very on the nose. And once you play it, you cannot see it as anything but goofy, right? Even though like the colors and everything, like it's bluish, it's very serious, and like it has this, like there's a lot of violence. We like this is also done to contrast with how nonsense is the whole premise, right? Like you're a spy and you always, if you walk improperly, you fall. But like, of course, there's this. I think like our reference was even for the sound was Austin Powers. You have like this sort of a parody of James Bond, and that was the thing. We also like in some levels took some cues from John Wick, like having like this blue lights, counter lights. We went in that direction, right? But it was always like at the end we already knew it was a comedy game. But as I was saying, like in the beginning it wasn't. And the way I work on stuff is usually the following. So I'm a huge fan of game jams because they allow you to find interesting ideas that work fairly quickly without like a huge cost. So most of the times, I don't know like how familiar, Pedro, you are with Ludum Dare, for instance, or with Global Game Jam.
Yeah, I've been in a few game jams as either a participant or a supporter. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a very nice quick start incubator, as I could put it, I think.
Yeah, so imagine that there's a lot of reasons why you would want to like, and I understand that it's very, like game jams are very off-putting for a lot of people because for several reasons. Like it mostly attracts young talent and unexperienced talent. It attracts young talent not because like it's just for beginners, or it's just for amateurs, or it's just for It's not that, it's because as you grow older, you kind of don't have the stamina to work on an entire weekend, and you kind of miss a good bet, right? Like,
There are a lot of major successes that came from game jams, though, right?
yeah, and those, so in that scenario, if you look like specific, like a bunch of Devolver games specifically,
Yeah.
and that kind of ties to what we were saying, but yeah, like a bunch of Devolver games, like a bunch of really high quality games were started in game jams. So again, I'm saying it's off-putting to some people, but there's also some misconceptions. A lot of great games started there because they were also made by great people. So like that doesn't have like a direct correlation. Anyway, like those, for instance, if you look at Devolver, which for us is obviously clear inspiration, like Adult Swim, like the style of going with nonsense and to kind of shock users, viewers. That's really like sort of our core. But yeah, like they take a lot of games as well that came from those humble beginnings, right? Like from that laboratory that is a game jam. Because what you will find is that most often than not, if you're gonna work on like for a year on something, you're probably gonna go with something that already works, right? And so like unless you have a lot of time to prototype as a team and to waste like half a year like researching stuff, you will kind of copy something that was already done, or like you're gonna go into a specific genre and you're gonna do that genre very well. If you go and polish or develop a game jam idea, the result is gonna be probably something that is like, you know, like it's gonna be very different, and it's gonna feel weird. There's an advantage to game jams, and there's disadvantages. Of course, like you should never continue directly a project that you've started in a weekend because it's gonna be a mess. And a lot of these advantages is what, like from people who've never been there or has never like participated, you look at it at the results, and 99% of them suck really hard. Like they're terrible.
I just got killed in a different room than I was. But yeah, I agree. The game jams are something that personally I'd advise every developer to at least try once.
Yeah, but yeah, so for who's making the game, it's interesting. For the end user, it might not be, but like for the main user, it can be if they're willing to play 99% of trash, and there's usually like 1% is really really great, and you cannot play anywhere else. Like that's sort of the idea of fail. Like you will make a ton of terrible things while you're making like experimental stuff. For a weekend at least, and that's sort of how, to go back to your question, how Agent Klutz came to be. I made a prototype, a game in a game jam that was very dramatic. It was about psychotherapy, and if you, I can put the links on the chat.
Yeah, that would be great for the viewers to follow.
Is there a way, is there a way for me to put stuff in the chat without logging in?
Because on Twitch, I think you can only write if you're logged in.
Okay, then I will try to log in a bit later, because it's a bit complicated right now and I haven't received my password. Anyway, so because I don't use Twitch that much, so what I was saying is that it started at a game jam, and like 99% of stuff that I make in game jams are terrible in my opinion. I only keep the good ones, and that 1% sometimes is really great. So I thought that 1% was, in that case, the game that came out of that, and it was a game called Saldanha, where you would it looks terrible, like this was one of the problems, but it also played interestingly. You would be in the metro station of Lisbon, of Saldanha. It was all grey, it was very serious, and you would have to kill copies of yourself over and over in a loop, and you would have to take
Okay.
the train, and you would leave the train station and go back to the train station from the train and kill yourself again and again and again.
Okay, so an Inception, but for killing yourself.
Yeah, so you would be sort of in an hypnosis state. Your therapist would be talking to you, like imagine a weapon, and like like a lot of different versions of you would try to kill you. Yeah, you mentioned the Inceptions. I think it has the same vibe of like this, like everybody has a gun with a silencer and whatever, like, but it's all a dream or whatever. It was sort of that vibe, and it was very personal to me because um, I suffered a very hard depression when I was at university. Like this is something that I didn't know when I was at university. I only understood that
You
after.
found out retroactively when you look
Yeah,
back.
and while I was thinking about that, I kept thinking about the metro station that led me to the university. So like I studied in Instituto Superior Técnico, which I usually took the subway, and like it's really next to the station of Saldanha. So to kind of make sense of that, I think I made that game where I would shoot copies of myself that were trying to kill me, and I will survive. It was something very personal, and I like the mechanic.
But that's what games are about also. It's about putting a bit of yourself into the game and let the others find out about it. Maybe someone with the same experience saw something of themselves into that game too, right?
Yeah, I think the game is a bit bad. The Saldanha is it's a game that looks terrible, sounds terrible. It was done in a weekend, but I wanted to make something more of it, and that's where Agent Plus came to be. So Agent Klutz was, how can I make this but fun? Because it wasn't really fun. It was very painful to look at. It was like awful, and like I kind of so we are not currently, we weren't currently, and we still aren't currently working with like a main investor or publisher. We are self-financed. So given that, and given the fact that we suffered like a major financial blow a few years prior with a project that didn't go well, we didn't really have like the biggest budget to invest in that game, and we decided, okay, let's go with something simple visually as well, but it needs to feel awesome. That's where João Figueira came in, which is a programmer and animator. And João came to me, and I came to him, and we started discussing like what do you think about this prototype? Do you think like we can nail this and make this become something a bit more interesting? Can we? I don't know. Like, can we create a visual language with this? And I think João also like. I tend to work with people that might have been more talented than me, and João is clearly also like, as Miguel, João is also like brilliant. He immediately saw the main character, and I think that was the first animation that he worked on, was the main character falling because we needed a visual feedback when you make a mistake.
And he falls a lot, as people
Falls a lot.
can see in this gameplay. He falls a lot.
Yeah, so like this is something that we knew, like this is gonna be a spy or whatever that's gonna be constantly falling. And as soon as he made that animation, like I felt it was right. I also think like he knew that was gonna be the final one. We kept that first draft. It's still like the main animation from falling. I think it looks fantastic. Like it feels right, even though it makes no sense. And that's more or less when we decided, okay, that this is a nonsense game, right? This is a game about like you shooting and whatever, like you're James Bond or whatever, but you're always tripping. And I think we kept brainstorming, and the idea of Agent Klutz of being klutzy came to be. And yeah,
And
so
sometimes
that,
he's Agent Clutch because he pulls some really last minute good plays.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was the process of coming up with the idea for the game, and we had a ton of fun trying to find out who the character was, like what kind of spy. Or because in the beginning we thought maybe like he's a villain or like he's an anti-hero, but then like no, he's just a stupid guy that like is totally unprofessional. And we decided also to make things interesting to have a time-based game and have like a stealing mechanic. So because he's so unprofessional, he goes on a mission. He keeps robbing stuff. So like imagine as you're playing, right? So you're in a house and you're just taking stuff with you.
Casually, let me take this and that.
Yeah, you're the worst spy. That's so as we kept like talking and talking, like it was obvious that was the direction to go, and we. I don't know. I think you.
The
I
shields
hope you
I always forget the shields reflect back to me the bullets.
yeah. So we have a rock paper scissors mechanic with those with the enemies. It's like shields kill you, machine guns kill you also like immediately. Enemies that have shields and machine guns are basically impossible to kill unless you use a plant or what. Like we had fun also with the enemies, I think. But yeah, it was an interesting design process. Story-wise, it was we ran out of money midway, and we kind of had to be creative with the levels. We ran out of money because João, I think, became really obsessed with the level with an aquarium and started like animating a lot of fish. And I was like, João, stop animating the fish. Nobody cares about the fish. And João was like, no, I want to make the shark. It's a set piece, João. Don't do that. Like what? And at some point, you will probably see a shark like fully hand drawn, like rotating in
The
pixel
best
art,
animated shark ever.
yeah, but like we blew our budget on that. It was completely stupid. Yeah, so we had to be creative later on with the levels. But yeah, that's sort of how we work, right? So that's also the beauty of creating stuff. I saw recently a David Lynch interview, which is like a creator that I really admire, that inspires me a lot, and describes the creative process like you show up, you do your best, and you keep working on it until you say, okay, it's done. And that's sort of how I felt about this game. Like we tried, we showed up, we kept working on it, like we did our best, and then we said, okay, like it's done. I think it's ready to I think it's ready to ship.
Yeah, the game looks awesome. We have a question from the audience. Is what made you go with a scribble hand-drawn look for the UI when the game is in pixel art? Is this readability choice or purely aesthetics?
So it was both. So actually, like I'm very resentful because once I've submitted this game to a game show, and I had to pay also to submit. And they saw the game, they really liked it, and they said, we're not gonna pick it like for our main showcase because like the UI looks amateurish. And I was like, okay, it looks unprofessional or something like that. And imagine we we wanted to make something that felt that it wasn't just a pixel art game. We wanted to, because like pixel art is like itself is a genre with a lot of subgenres, and we weren't like this hugely beautiful pixel art games, and this is not one of them, right? Like this is, we are not trying to make the best pixel art game. We wanted to create our own thing, and we wanted to borrow some of the language, but also to kind of develop our own. So one of the things that I kept, not specifically just for this game, but that I wanted to kind of develop was, what if we integrated different types of art, and actually our inspiration for that UI is Life is Strange, which nobody calls amateurish, right? Like Life is Strange.
Sure.
Yeah, so we at the time I was playing Life is Strange, and I felt that it was really elegant the way that they made the UI, even though you feel that it's out of place, that it's not real, like it's clearly UI. It feels in place because it sort of it blends with the mood of it doesn't look like an alien like button or whatever. It feels like walk over here, talk like that, and it feels hand-drawn, just like as if you were playing the diary of someone. And we kind of wanted to borrow this. Also, there's another point of pixel art is not amazing for text, and we were trying to avoid using a font because like pixel art fonts, unless you make your own, look very bad, and need also like a big canvas to have like some readability. So we wanted to have like words. It needed to be immediately readable what you were doing. So we needed to have words, and we were trying to borrow that. But we also didn't want it to be a pixel art, and I think like there's no problem in merging different kinds of art, right? Like, and we also had that reference, and I knew that at least in that game, in Life is Strange, that it worked. So why not try to do the same thing here? And for the most part, I think that it feels weird, but it also reminds you that it's a comedy game, right? Like, because if there wasn't that element of stupidity, of like goofiness, of someone just drew over the screen with a pen, you kind of would maybe forget visually that it's not a serious game. So that goes like it kind of takes everything into consideration.
Yeah, these boxes are a nudge to your game studio for sure. The not a bomb boxes. They seem to be a bomb. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but this big black rocket seems to be a bomb. I don't trust your names now after Not a Game Studio publishing games. So, what platforms? Since it's you need to click, it's very reliant on the mouse, at least from the way I'm playing. What platforms it's available on? And
so
is there
right
any plans
now,
to expand?
Yeah, there is. So initially, I was really enamored with mobile games, and as I mentioned, we were trying to descale the studio and make it like reduce risk.
Sorry to interrupt you, but here are the fishes. They look so awesome.
Okay, so keep looking at the screen, and you will eventually see a big shark. Okay. Yeah, like I don't know, like eventually it's gonna come up. I don't know if it's in this level or the next one, because like there's 2 aquarium levels next to the other. But yeah, like anyway, yeah, I don't remember what I was saying.
You were talking about the platforms which you are going to put the game.
Yeah. So we are actually, I don't know if I can say this, but we are working on a port for probably a handheld console. I don't know, like we are working on that. It's not it's a possibility. It works, at least like gamepad controls work. So if that doesn't work out, probably we're gonna add support to controller support on Steam for people that don't like clicking. It's not really the same thing, but it might work. But at least like we're working on this right now. It's an interesting curiosity that we wanted to see and see like if it reaches more people in a different platform. And we're thinking of going mobile, or we're not sure. The beginning, the idea was to make this before like we even had the vertical slice. The idea was to have something that could go mobile premium, like that people would pay like €1, €2, dollars on iOS, for instance. But quickly we understood that we wanted to make games that are a little bigger than that in terms of quality. And so we kept pushing with the quality of this game, even though like there's really high quality premium games on mobile. We were like in the beginning we were thinking of let's just do something a bit simpler than what it currently is. The second thing is like Android, like premium on Android doesn't really work, and I sort of became very anti iOS in general. So yeah, I don't know. We will see. But like currently, what there's plans to expand, but currently you can only play in Steam and itch.io, which has no DRM, and it's the same price.
Oh, that's cool. For the audience who this is, at least on my point of view, this is more also like an experience, because you see me tripping like every 3 or 4 steps, and you really need to pump it to the music. After you miss 1 or 2 times, you need to like pull back from the game and reset your beat. I'm like beating with my foot so I don't lose the beat. And what can you describe from your experiences playing this game?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because when I've never played this game, and no, I have, but not as you. I mean, when you create something, this is something that it makes me really depressed. I will never have the experience of trying this for the first time and discovering this that you had. I'm really good at playing the game, and everyone that I see playing like has a terrible time in the beginning. So I have no idea what that friction is. I've never had the pleasure. I will never have the pleasure of experiencing anything that I make because I already know how it is, and I have the point of view that is not normal. It's the point of view of the creator.
Bane of the creator.
Yeah, but like for me, at least when I look, like so, like there's two ways of seeing this. Like one of them is how I see people reacting to it, and the other one is how it makes sense for me. So going back to that prototype that I told you of Saldanha, of like killing your copies of yourself that are trying to end your life or something like that. Like for that prototype, I took a sample of Doom and I remixed it, and I wanted to have something that would have like this sort of hypnotic feel, you know, like I took like, because Doom is also, even though it's not a rhythm game, it's very rhythmic. You know, I feel that the gameplay is very you have to always be on your feet, and you have to react like with like you kind of feel a mood, and you feel a loop, right? Sorry. And with that game I wanted to achieve that, and with this one I feel once you get in trance, like once you get in flow, you actually don't have to listen to the music or to see like the visual cues. You just go and you do this and you do this, and speedrunning in this game, like once it clicks, like for me at least, I feel that that I'm not Agent Klutz actually. I feel that I'm myself because Agent Klutz is always falling. To me, like I feel like I mentioned the John Wick as a reference, but that movie has a lot of rhythm, right? Like at least the first one has a set piece that it like is very heavy on music, and like it's constantly like sort of a ballet, right? Like you go on, it feels like you're dancing with the character with Keanu Reeves, and in this game I feel the same thing. I feel that I'm also like in sort of a trance, and that's one way of playing it. When I see other people playing, what I at least like in the beginning, they're very confused. It's it's what it is.
Yeah.
Eventually, they will see. Okay, this is what the game is. Okay, like I've understood, and then they will start playing the same way a newborn tries to walk, which is very interesting because and we tried a bunch of levels that were very big, and this wouldn't do because traversal is sort of a puzzle. Right? It's like going from A to B is itself very complicated. We added the shooting and the puzzle layers, but like just going from A to B is very, very complicated.
Yes, I can attest to that. Yes.
And you will develop this, you will master this skill, and you will feel like a baby, like slowly walking with. Because like in most games, walking is guaranteed. Like there's not a lot of games that will. The last game that I saw that did this and was very polarizing because of it was Death Stranding, where like going from A to B, like you cannot just fast travel. Like going from A to B is the main gameplay.
Yeah.
Most games will not have that. Like don't have the guts of being Death Stranding. Like why would you be like an Uber Eats simulator? That's not possible. And yeah, but in that game, I also feel that players that stick with it by the end feel an immense joy of mastering, right? Of like, okay, I've learned how to walk for a second time, because in most games I just go forward and it's done. And now I re-experience what a newborn is. I re-experience what mobility is, what mobility is. And in this game, I feel it's the same thing for a lot of people. Midway, like where you are right now, you kind of start getting the hang of it. But in the beginning, it's still very rough, which is why we increase the difficulty. By the way, I have to mention that when I said we ran out of budget, this is exactly what I mean. So this level here is very similar to the last one that you played.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Yeah, exactly. So that level in specific, you go from point A to point B, and then from point B to point A. So yeah, it's you go to the lab and then you exit the lab. But the next one is going to be a bar again. So that's what I mean by we ran out of budget. But if you want to play it, just to showcase how we were creative with our budget.
I can show.
Yeah.
And then we need to close shop. But there's also the question about who made the music. I think you already mentioned, but Shiryu GL might not have been in the stream at the time.
Yeah, let me put some links afterwards. I'm gonna put the Bandcamp as well of Miguel, who made the music. Miguel, we've worked with Miguel for since our first efforts, I think. Miguel made all of the music of this game and made most of the music of all of our games. He's an incredibly talented artist, and you should definitely check his stuff out if you like the music. So I was just mentioning this level, even though we have to close shop, is not the same level as the other one that you played, but we kind of go into reverse mode, and the story leads back to the beginning, where it was all a wild goose chase, and even though like it's completely different level, like it's the same assets, the same locations, it's we kind of recycle everything because again, João spent all of the money
And fish.
yeah, exactly, on fish.
Let me get back it so that to the two cameras. If budget weren't a constraint, what would you have done differently regarding Agent Klutz? Would you have made it a completely different game, or just close it on its own experience?
If budget wasn't a constraint, I would have made Star Citizen. I don't know.
Yeah, money isn't a constraint for Star Citizen developers, and they haven't made it yet. So there's
Yeah,
a,
no, and a budget is always a constraint. That's the thing. So this was the game that at a time came out of the constraints that we had. If we had other constraints, it would be a different game. And I don't know exactly like it's not that our vision was compromised by by the budget. It was that our vision is the budget.
okay.
So
Yeah.
if we had another budget like the vision, like maybe at some point you would like it would be an open world. I don't know. Like we would have to
Yeah.
see.
So one last question from the audience. There's two questions, Johnny. Where did the money came from, and did you self-finance? And I'm going to join the other question. Was it a case of we have X money between ourselves, so let's spend it and see how far we can get?
Um, yeah. No, it wasn't a royalty thing. I'm the sole owner of this game, and I kind of struggle to find resources and to pull funds from wherever I can to make this happen and to make to pay the team and to make everyone like happy and more or less stable. As I mentioned, like sometimes like it cannot be an ongoing thing, but at least I try my best to like in the past I've done rev share and I've done like schemes like that, but it usually doesn't work very like it's very freak like people get hurt very fast, and I have a lot of respect for the people that I work with, and I wouldn't expect anyone to work for free. This is how we do things, and this is how I've learned to do things like the hard way. Um, you need to respect the people that you work with, and the first step for doing that is to say, whatever you do for me, I pay you, and whatever I do for you, you pay me.
Yeah.
This is like business 101. And yeah, so we didn't pull funds together. Like it was a thing of okay, guys, I believe in this. Here's the money. We're gonna do this. And if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, and
I
that's how
I
you
would.
can manage to still have these loyal people that help you whenever you need by treating them well.
Yeah, it needs to be it needs to be like this, and people who don't do this like are like sometimes it works very well, but most of the time like it's very dangerous because like we're playing with people's lives.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you, Isaac, for joining us. Don't know if you have any uh, last words for the stream. Not that we have sent Agent Klutz there to kill you, but we need to change to the next one.
No problem. Yeah, so check out our other games. Please follow us on Twitter. We need followers to reach people with our products. At Not a Game Studio, give us a look on Steam, on itch.io. I'm not even asking you to buy anything. Like if you want, please buy, but like please just check us out. Like we have a tremendous visibility and reach problem, and anything that you can have that you can do to if you like what we do, like please word of mouth is really precious. Follow us and follow like our games, please. Thanks.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks again. We'll get back in literally 10 minutes, so you guys stay there. And thanks again, Isaac. See you next time, or maybe in the award ceremony. Let's see how that goes.
Okay. Bye.